morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, True Fellowship, and Facebook and YouTube. Good morning.
Morning.
Y'all excuse my hands. I was trying to fix the water pipe that bust outside, so I got glue stuck all on my hands right now. So excuse my hands. I didn't come to church like this, I promise. This is lesson number 10. Today is February the 8th, the year of 2026. And the topic of this lesson is Holy as I am holy. Today's aim, the facts, is to examine God's commandments to the Israelites to be holy and to be just. The principle is to see how God's holiness is a call for us to be holy, and how a right knowledge of His holiness leads to right living. And the application is to become holy like God is holy, and to live out that holiness by loving Him and loving others. How do you love God? How do you love God? By keeping His commandment. And what is God's commandment? Love. I know it's 10 of them, but God's commandment is love.
All about love.
Because throughout all of the commandments, if you love, you won't miss one.
Right.
You can't steal from me if you love me.
Oh, hang on.
You can't hate me if you love me. You can't curse me if you love me. So as long as we love, we got the commandments covered. This lesson we're going to be in, and we're going to be studying about integrity. Having integrity. And if you don't know what integrity means, it's doing what's right even when nobody's looking. It's integrity. And that's the thing about God. God sees all, He hears all, and He knows all. So having integrity, you don't have to worry about if anybody's watching you, if anybody's seeing you. See, you can hide from us, but you can't hide from God. So if you got integrity, you don't have to worry about making any mistakes. And as I was growing up, there was some things that was going on, and Mom and Daddy tell us to do certain things. We didn't like what they say. And the first thing we say is, why? And the answer that they give us is, because I said so. Simple as that, because I said so. Throughout this lesson, you find that God is saying, because I said so. Throughout this whole lesson, God is saying, because I said so. Now we're going to begin at the first verse of chapter 19 of Leviticus. It says, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Now, starting out in the first verse, God speaking to Moses. So, letting us see that throughout all of time, God has always given us a mediator. So there's no reason, no excuses for us not to get it. There's always been somebody standing in place to tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing. He had Moses, he had Joseph, he had I can't even think of David, and Jesus came, and now we still sitting here with the understanding that Jesus died for our sins. So the mediator has been Jesus. Good morning. The mediator for us has been Jesus. So we know that whatever it is we're going through, we can always go to Jesus, and He'd help us fix things. Mm-hmm. So it says he told them to speak to all the congregations, meaning there is nobody that is exempt from not doing right. All the congregation means everybody, all of us. So there's no such thing as I don't know, I don't get it, I don't understand, because He spoke to Moses and said, go and tell all. So everybody knows right from wrong. From the day of birth, Every child knows right from wrong. You've all seen babies. Whenever a baby sees certain things that is not right, they know when they done messed up. The babies themselves know that you are upset with them. That's why they start hitting those tantrums and fits, because they know that they've done messed up. God has already given us the knowledge and the understanding to know right from wrong as a child. So there is no excuses. And he says, you will be holy. He didn't say go and try to be holy. He says you will be holy. You shall be holy. Why am I supposed to be holy? Because I said so. He says, because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Because I said so. That's why you're going to be holy. Because I said so. God says you're holy because I'm holy. Mama and daddy is good parents. So therefore, me as a child should also be a good person. Because mama and daddy is good.
Amen.
Mama and daddy did not show me how to be bad. So the knowledge of how to be bad did not come from mama and daddy. That came from outside things, outside influences. So for us to be godly, we have to follow God. If we're not godly, then that means we're following outside influences. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbath. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall fear every man. I know how it's written. It might not sound right how it's written, but what it's really saying is every man shall fear your mother and your father.
Amen.
Every man. It's not excluding anybody. All male, female needs to fear your mother and father. And that's not saying be afraid of them. That's saying honor and respect them. If you honor and respect your mother and father, you are showing God your love.
Right.
That's how you love God. By loving everybody. So if you can honor and respect your mother and your father, you are loving God. You're showing God his love. And why should I do these things? I am the Lord your God because I said so.
I said so.
Because he said so. That's why you do these things. He says also, and keep my Sabbath. Keep my Sabbath. Keep a day holy, set aside for me. Why do I have to go to church? Because I said so. Because God said so. That did not exclude us to stay home. God said, keep my Sabbath. That's what he said. It's not saying that I am making you do these things. I'm not forcing you into these things. I'm relaying what God has told me. God says, keep my Sabbath. Honor me on the Sabbath. Everybody is supposed to honor God at least one day out of the week. Keep that day set aside just for God. Don't let nothing interfere with God on this one day. And it might sound selfish of us, but God has given us 7 days. He's given us 7 days to do whatever we want to do. And the only thing that he says, out of all these 7 days, one day, give it to me. Just one day, give it to me. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. Now, there is reasons why God did not show himself. There is reasons why God did not reveal an image of himself. And the reason is because if God would have shown us a figure of who he was, we would have forgotten all about God and started worshiping what he looked like. Just like as people is doing now, the Buddhists, the cross, even cars, houses, people. They are idolizing certain things because certain things is what they worship. I have a great job, so I'm going to give everything I got to my job. You're worshiping that job. You're idolizing that job. Stop idolizing certain things. See, God don't want anything to be idolized. God says, worship the thought of who I am. Just to know that I am God. That's what I want you to respect. Who I am. The things that I can do. That's what I want you to worship. The things about me. Don't go to idols. These are things that he has been telling us through all of his commandments. This whole lesson is about his commandments. Don't do certain things because he done said so. Why can't I idolize these things? Because I said so. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest, and thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God. So all of the work that you do, you done planted this huge garden. You go through your garden and you start picking things out of it. Things drop. What God said about the things that fall, leave it there. Don't try to pick everything. Leave some behind for the less fortunate. See, we have grown into the selfish human being. Everything that we have, we look at it as it's all mine. But God did not create us to be selfish. God created us to be our brother's keeper. That's how he created us to be. He created us to look after one another. That's why we don't all have the same things that we can do. You know, what I'm good at, y'all not good at. What y'all are good at, I'm not good at. That's because what I can do, I'm supposed to share it with you. What you can do, you share it with me. The things that I have in my life is not just for me. It's meant to help. That's why you see a lot of people with more than they need. Because that extra that they have is supposed to help the less fortunate. But you got a lot of us these days, it's all mine. It goes straight to my bank. Nobody else is getting it. I got it now and I'm going to die and ain't nobody going to touch it. Well, if you die, it's going to somebody. It's going to somebody if you die, and it probably won't even go to your family. Somebody else is going to own it. So for us to hold on to certain things just because we call it mine, that's going against what God said. Well, I worked hard for all of these things. Why I got to give it away to certain people? What did he say? Because I am Lord your God. Because I said so. You do these things because God said so. Just like mom and daddy said so. Look, out of all this, and we're talking about the harvest, the things that we're supposed to give away. We're talking about the things that we're supposed to give away. It goes to verse 11 and said, ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another, and ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord your God. Now, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. If it's not one time, you had a garden, you had big over here in the car. And what they right there, what they call it? Somebody had jumped the fence and cut the whole thing.
You know, you can ask yourself, why do certain people steal? Certain people, I ain't say all people, certain people. Because some people do it just because.
Yeah.
But you have certain people do it because they need to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them do it because when they tried to ask for it, they really needed it when they asked for it, you turned them away. And some of them do it because after asking, you take it and turn around and throw it in the trash. See, you're being selfish. It's causing other people to go and do things that is unlawful by people nature, but is lawful by God's nature. All thieves are not thieves. Sometimes you're stealing because you have to. Sometimes you do it because you just want to. Now I ain't saying that you ain't going to go to jail either way. You're still going to go to jail. But we all don't steal for the same reason. Now, it says, don't deal falsely, neither lie to one another. Don't lie. That thing lie. The truth isn't always to be told. Now, you can all say that. The truth isn't always to be told. But you should never tell a lie. There's just certain things that everybody don't need to know. You don't have to share everything with everybody. But then you don't have to lie to anybody either. If you don't want to tell them, just don't tell them. Don't lie. That's one of the things that God really hates. God hates a liar. Because Jesus came down here and he told the truth. Nothing but the truth. Jesus never lied. If he didn't want you to know it, he just didn't tell you. Now, ye shall not swear by my name falsely. Don't tell any lies about God. Neither shall thou profane the name of thy God. Don't use any profanity using God's name. There's a lot of people. They tries to cover it up. Well, I didn't say the word. I said yacht. I didn't say the word. Or they're just using an abbreviation, an initial, and they'll just use the letter. Well, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. Whether you said it or not, it's the same thing, because once you put it in your heart, you might as well say it. Right. It is the same thing. I don't care if you didn't say it. You put it in your heart. If you're not going to say it, just don't abbreviate it. Put something else there. Or just don't add nothing at all. Because once you add to that, you already said it. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord. If somebody does something for you, and you say, hey, if you do this for me, I'll pay you $20. Mm-hmm. Give it to him.
That's right. You're right.
Give it to him. Yeah. Don't go back to him and say, well, I ain't going to give it to you today because of something that you did last week. You know, you owe me that anyway. You should have did this for me for free.
That's right.
No, if somebody does a job for you, you pay them for that job. Whatever y'all got going on the outside of that, that's a different story. That ain't got nothing to do with what y'all got going on right now. That's a total different story. I owe you $10 because you did something, a favor for me, but I own my own business, so you come in my business. I'm not supposed to give you anything for free out of my business. You're supposed to pay for my business. Now, what we did outside of that, that's between me and you. That ain't got nothing to do with this. Don't defraud anybody. Now, and at the same time, don't go talking behind people's backs. Don't do anything against anybody behind their backs. Those are backstabbers. You know, just because I didn't see you do it or hear you say it, don't mean God is going to protect you. Because as I've said before, you can hide from me, but you can't hide from God. And anytime you mess with God's people, you mess with God. Amen. Now, who's going to be punished for this? The blind might not have seen what you put in front of them. The deaf might not have heard what you said. And it may affect me because I didn't see it coming. But God's going to punish you for doing it. Because you did it. Now in the real world, this is called premeditated. You thought about doing something knowing the outcome of it and you did it anyway. That's premeditated. You planned it. So if you can go to prison for a long time for premeditation, if you thought about doing something to somebody knowing that it was going to be wrong, how can you ask God to forgive you for doing it afterwards? That's like suicide. You've been a man or woman of God all your life. And now you say, you know what, times has done got hard, I'm sick of this and I'm ready to end this. And you just take your own life. How can you ask God to forgive you after you did it? There is no forgiveness after that. So if you plan on doing something wrongly to somebody knowing that it was wrong, it's premeditated. That's a life sentence. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Don't misjudge anybody. If they're wrong, they're wrong. If they're right, they're right. Don't stand up in court because you don't like this person and say, yeah, they did it, knowing that they didn't do it. You're only saying that because you wish they would go forever. You want them to be locked down forever. Give them the death penalty because I just don't like them. I don't care if they didn't do it. I don't like them. That's what God is telling you. He don't want you to talk bad about somebody just because you don't like them. He don't want you to accuse anybody of doing something that they didn't do just because you don't like them. Because once you put hatred in your heart, that's a condemnation against you. You know, there's a lot of people that is now on death row because of what somebody else said. Somebody said they saw them doing this and doing that, and they didn't do it. There's a lot of people that has already lost their lives because of what somebody falsely accused them of. Now, who's going to be punished? Now, here on earth, people look at it as, I got away with it. I did my thing and I got away with it. And you can live 30 more years. And you got away with it here on earth. But what happens after this time? Did you really get away with it? Because they're smiling in glory when you get there. And you're enjoying the hot dance with the devil because you really didn't get away with it. Doing what's right here on earth is what makes the difference when you leave this earth. That's why God is trying to make sure that we all make it. He has been telling us every day about what to do and what not to do. He's been always telling us from Genesis all the way to Revelation. He has been telling us what to do and what not to do. And everything goes right back down to the commandments. Love and honor, respect.
Right.
Well, I don't like this person. They ain't did nothing but wrong to me. So why should I treat them with kindness and respect? Why should it? Because God says, because I said so. Because that's Daddy. Daddy said so. And anytime Daddy say so, we're supposed to do it. Now this new generation don't. New generation's got their own mindset. Their mindset is we are equal. That's the new generation. We are equal. If I don't want to do it and you don't want to do it, you can't make me do it. That's the new generation. Old generation, whether they are doing right or wrong, and they tell you right, you do what they say and not what they do. That's what they say. Do as I say, not as I do. Now, it is a thing about doing what's right also. But the way we was raised was, do as I say, not as I do. So anytime God says something, it's our duty to just do it. Because God said so. And doing what God says is going to always keep us on the right path. Because God said so, nothing of any harm can come about us. Thou shalt not hate. Remember that. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. We shouldn't hate anybody just because you've tortured me all through school, kindergarten, 3rd, 5th, 12th, college. Now I'm grown, you at my same job, you still doing. I'm still supposed to treat you with kindness and respect. I'm still supposed to, and I know a lot of people is like, you know what, they ain't did nothing but bother me forever. I'm not gonna yes sir this person. I don't care if he was sitting side the road in the desert and needed water and I had a whole case. I'm not gonna give him a bottle. That is not how we're supposed to be. Regardless of how people has treated you. Verse 18 tells us, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Yeah. Love them as you would want to be loved. Not as they treated you. Because how this thing really works, sometimes some people don't really know that they are doing wrong. It's because how they was raised. Some people has been raised in a manner that looks like hatred to you, but to them it looks like they loving you. Some people think that treating people the way that you didn't like to be treated was actually their way of showing affection. And some people don't really realize that they are hurting your feelings. But see, what happens when you start treating them with kindness and respect, regardless of how they're treating you, they're going to start thinking about it because now they got something to compare it to. But if they don't have anything to compare it to, and the only thing that you do is retaliate, oh, you on their good side now. See, that's how they looking at it. You on their good side because now you're doing the same thing that they was raised doing. So maybe that's how life really is. And they think they doing good because an eye for you.
That's that gets in the way you think that you always say that you careful what you say around children and whatnot. So they pick up the thing. Like one time, back a long time ago, we had a little baby. And how do you think you black people didn't call you a nigga? And so the little baby let down, hey nigga. Yeah.
That's how it was back in the day, D. That's how they was trained. That's how it was trained. And you know, sadly to say, there's still some people trained that way.
Yeah.
And see, the thing about it is if they come up in certain people's faces today and they say it like that, you know, it's going to be some problems. But see, that's how they was raised. They not knowing that it's wrong. You know, that's a good example, D. Because they're not knowing that saying that is wrong.
That's right.
But if they get up in the wrong person's face that believe in eye for an eye, you know, they're going to retaliate on something that you thought was good. So if we start practicing this love thing that God has been telling us to practice from the beginning, start showing love, showing kindness, showing respect, regardless of how people treat you, it can turn. At some point it can turn. Because what they have been accustomed to their whole life, now they're starting to see that everybody don't act like that. Everybody don't respond the same way to that. And then they start to see how it feels to be treated with love. And now they're going to start sharing that love with somebody else. But if the only thing that you always want to do is retaliate when somebody come at you the wrong way, I know what they meant by that. So I'm going to get them back. And if you keep doing that, then they're going to always think that you're on their good side because they don't know that that's wrong. And you're going to always be upset you're going to always be the one in the wrong, not them. I know sometimes it look like they're doing wrong and they should be punished for it, but they don't always know that they're doing wrong. But you do. And because you know that you're wrong, you're the one that God's going to look at because you knew better. You're the one that God has already told that this was wrong. You knew better. Mom and Daddy used to say that all the time. I don't care what it is that they went out there and do. You knew better. And they were saying it as if maybe they wasn't trained the way that you was trained, but you was trained not to do this. You the one knew better.
Let's go back to the teacher. Jesus advice said, I'm not charged what you do to me, but I'm charged what I do to you.
That's it, D. That's exactly right. God holds you accountable for what you do. Not about what they do. He holds you accountable for what you do. You know, this thing about us, and I ain't gonna say no more after this. This thing about us coming this thing about us coming to church. You know, and I know there's still a lot of people that still feel like they don't need to come here. There's still a lot of people that feel like I can do the same thing at the house. I can read my Bible at the house. I can watch TV and listen to that minister at the house. I can do all of this stuff at the house. But what you don't get at the house is the understanding. What you don't get at the house is the presence of God. What you don't get at the house is the other knowledge. That's what you're not getting at the house. See, when you're home, you're not putting forth any effort for God. Because the only thing that you really did was rolled over and turned on the TV. You didn't do anything for God other than just open up your ears and listen to the station. And after that, so matter of fact, while it's playing, you probably up doing some everything throughout the house. You done missed half of the message. That's at the house. But while you're sitting in the church, there's no wandering around. You're only sitting here gaining the information. You're gaining the knowledge that you didn't know when you came in here, because what you only knew, Deacon Wade might say something that you didn't know. Prophet Spry might say something that you didn't know. Brother Davis might say something that you didn't know. Now look at all that information that you done gained by coming together. There was 2 or 3 that agreed on something. Now y'all has come together because God says come into this place and worship. Now that y'all done came into this place and worship him, y'all done gained a lot of information about him that you would not have gained at the house. That's a lot of people. Look, if you actually allow God to come into your life, coming to the place of worship is not a problem. Because if you're at the house and you allow God to come into your life, God's going to get you up out of that chair or get you up out of that bed, and he's going to put you in somebody's car, and you're going to find a place of worship, because God's going to worship with his own kind. God is not going to sit back and let everybody do what he's supposed to be out there doing. God is going to take you and join the mix. Because we're in this together. We're not alone in this thing. God don't want nobody to sit at the house and think that they can actually gain his knowledge by sitting at the house.
Then how can you draw anybody?
You can't draw nobody into the house at the house.
Ain't no light. Ain't no light.
Nobody sees who you really are if you're stuck behind 4 walls in your house. When you come out to the church, and that knowledge that you've gained from the church, you leave out of this church, you hear the story, everybody sees that glow. Somebody gonna say, where you come from? You come from church. What y'all talk about? Now you're sitting there discussing what went on in church. So I'm not gonna tell y'all that you can stay home. Although I have said that you don't have to come to the church to know who God is, which is the truth. You don't. But I'm not going to tell anybody that they can stay home. Because, you know, my brother brought this back out to me the other day. Train them up in the way that they should go.
you see?
And when they grow old, they would not depart.
That's what you see.
So if they do decide to stray away from this place, as long as you've done everything that you needed to do, at some point, they're going to come back.
You got that right.
They're going to come back. So,
Remember,
yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to come here. I'm going to tell you to train them up in the way that they should go. And I'm going to tell you to do what the Bible says. And the Bible tells us to fellowship. There has never been a place in the Bible where it has never told us not to fellowship. The Bible has always been stressing out tabernacles being built so that we can come together and worship. Now, if the Bible has never stressed the tabernacle being built to come and worship, then I would never tell y'all that you need to come to church. But God has always been placing it in here, telling us that we need to build a place so that we can all come together and worship together. That's common knowledge that we need to share. Like I said, I'm not going to say anything else about it. I said what I was going to say, and I ain't going to say nothing else. I'm done with my lesson. I'm turning this into the hands of the superintendent.
you said what they supposed to do.